Whose idea was it? Who wanted to start doing the flip? Because I remember you were hanging out with TJ Lavin a lot back then. Like, were you guys just like throwing it around, like thinking it was possible?
Yeah, it was cool. Like at that time I was, I lived with him for a few months. I was building a house next door to him. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I lived with him for a while my house was getting built. And, TJ always loved motocross and, he's a super talented dude.
And he was the man back then
dude,
too.
the
like,
fucking dude.
He was unbeatable. Like he was so dope.
Yeah, he was dominating. And dude, we were living this this awesome lifestyle of, we'd sleep in and wake up and I'd ride BMX with him in his backyard. And then he would go out to the speedway with me and got him hitting ramps and we'd moto the track.
So rad.
And it was just our lifestyle, right? Like just living that Peter Pan lifestyle.
Kind of like Axel and Pat Casey. They were like the same way. They would go ride BMX together. They go ride moto together. Like,
exactly. You know, and as we were living this super fun lifestyle and, we were just, always like watching moto videos and BMX videos, obviously the conversations start to happen, especially for us, let's call a spade a spade. We were stealing all the BMX tricks for the longest time. And, TJ, me and him were talking one day. And he's like, what's your thoughts? You think you can flip a bike? And I'm like, well, fuck, I don't actually know. I mean, everyone will tell you no, and science will probably tell you no, but I mean, I guess there's only kind of one way to find out. So, so that summer as we were kind of talking and kind of dicking around with it, he's like, well, this winter, let's go out to Woodward. Because TJ had the pass to Woodward, and let's spend a week in the foam pit and get you comfortable on your BMX bike and see where it goes from there. So it was pretty loose like that. So, and I've always wanted to go to Woodward. So me and TJ went out to Woodward. It was in the middle of wintertime. We had the entire place to ourselves, stayed in Bud's barn, and we just rode BMX. And I spent 2 days in the foam pit and then graduated from foam pit to Resi and then from Resi over to the box. And the biggest thing was just kind of just getting, as just getting comfortable upside down, being able to not be so panicked and spot your landing and kind of control your spin a little bit and kind of put it on the back burner. Like didn't think much about it after that experience, that time with TJ out there, and then fast forward getting into the contest season, contest season kicks up around March, April. And, as contest season's happening and like I said, TJ's coming out riding with me and stuff, we kind of started playing around with the dozer and kind of playing with the landing of my freestyle landing out the speedway, the dirt landing, and shoveling it and just kind of like visualizing like what would it take? It's
kind of like the Resi, like.
Yeah. And, you think about it, like going back to those days, I always thought it was going to be like this big spine flip, right? Like you think you got to go straight up. You
didn't think it's going to be a gap.
No, you don't think it's going to be a gap. So that was just where my head went. So, leading into Gravity Games that year, probably about 2 months before, and now, now I'm kind of flipping a little bit more at TJ's house, like keeping it consistent. I'm like, well, fuck, might as well just send it at the biggest contest of the year. I mean, at that point, there's no foam pits. So all you can do is visualize it.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. Like you fixate on something, it'll start to drive you fucking crazy.
It starts ruining everything else that you're doing because all you can do is focus on this one thing.
Exactly. So it was kind of getting that way for me, and that I think it was in 2000. So I'm 25. I still bounce, wasn't super, my body wasn't thrashed as it is now.
You don't think about getting hurt. You
no,
think about
exactly.
landing it.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. It's the confidence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically just took all those like little moments and pieces in time and just applied everything at Gravity that year.
Were you in second gear or first gear?
I was in second. Dude, I hit it like if I was hitting, like it,
you hit it pretty
way
quick.
Too fast.
I remember sitting there. I was like sitting at the top. I'm like, fuck, he's going to flip right now. Like I was tripping.
Yeah, second gear.
He's going quick. He's going to go
way
high.
way too much. Well, because again, it's like you think,
don't know. No one else did it before.
Exactly. It's like you think you're going to have to go so fucking high to get this bike to rotate.
Yeah.
And no, didn't need that much.
Did you end up getting hurt on that one that you did at Gravity?
So that's kind of what set me down this path with like having all my back surgeries. Mm-hmm. I actually compressed fractured my couple of vertebrae in that moment. Didn't really know much that had happened. I mean, you know how it is. Like adrenaline's kicking in, big old adrenaline dump.
Congratulate you.
The next day, I flew out the next day and I was like really struggling on walking and shit. So got back home. And again, at that time, like I didn't have like the circle of doctors and medicine wasn't what it was, 20 years ago, 25 years ago almost. So, kind of got through that next week, went to a chiropractor and he's adjusted me. He's like, oh no, you're fine. So just
sweet, let's ride.
Got back into the grind of it. So I ended up compression fracturing my back and a couple of vertebrae. Yeah. And I found out about it the next year when I had that big crash at X Games when I ejected.
When you did your collar, was that the year? What year was that?
So that was in 01
On the white bike?
when my hand pulled off.
Yes, because you were already hurt.
Yeah, because I broke my collarbone the week 10 days before that and had a plate put in.
Were you flipping there somewhere, or was it like an airbag you were trying out?
Yeah,
or
so that's
like
the fucked up part. So
no one really knew about it.
Yeah, so so because of my relationship with Woodward with TJ, I got to know Ed and Gary really well over there. You know, and they're always like super pro action sports,
innovate,
anything.
Let's get something better going.
Yeah, so so that next summer, my old man flew out there. That like, they built a entire, like they said, hey, you can have these 5 acres, build a full blown freestyle course. You know, pros only, kind of, you know, gave me the invite to start coming out. And over that year, they were like, hey, we got this idea for an airbag. You know, it wasn't so much a foam pit, it was like an airbag to where you can practice shit and not get hurt. So I fly out there, or actually, sorry, I drove out there in my RV because Big B had to drive it back for me after I got banged up. Road trip out there. It was about a month. I was going to spend the entire month before X Games out there. Getting ready. And my old man had been out there for about 2 weeks before that, building this insane course. Dude, day one, I get out there, I gear up and just riding the course and did a trick. Like, I don't know, it's like maybe like a no-foot knack or something stupid, and hung up getting back on my bike and just into the ground and just smoked my collarbone.
No.
And I'm just laying on the ground going, fuck, my whole summer's over.
And that was right before X Games, right?
It was 3 weeks before X Games.
Yeah.
So whatever, like that moment happened. I flew back home, went and saw Dr. Chow. He put a plate in my collarbone. I flew back out about 4 days before X Games. And so I flew into State College, went and got my RV. And I was like, all right, I think I can still ride. Like, I'm pretty convinced I can ride, which was an awful fucking idea. So the one time I did get to hit the airbag, I got a plate in my collarbone. It's about 4 or 5 days old. And it was a little prehistoric, but it was basically like a dirt carved out tabletop that this airbag sat on. And then there was a piece of the plastic that they have on resi landings.
Yep. Over the bag.
And, you know, the idea was that you can at least have that cushion. So I straight jumped it, only like about maybe 3 or 4 feet off above the bag. But when you landed on the plastic, it was like trying to walk on a waterbed. So if you weren't perfectly center, it would either push you to the left or push you to the right. So I straight jumped it like twice. It pushed me off the airbag over the bars. Now I'm just thrashed. I'm like, fuck, I'm done.
Collarbone's already weeded.
Yeah. So I'm like, this isn't going to happen this trip. I'm done. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go into Philly, enjoy the X Games, you know, drive my coach in there, you know, do the sponsor obligations and jam home.